You might think David L Hunsberger an unlikely artist and guardian of the visual history of a society. Born in 1928, David was the youngest son of a New Order Mennonite preacher. With a sister and two stepbrothers, it was a very humble upbringing. The family lived in Waterloo, Ontario, where Noah Hunsberger was one of the preachers at Arab Street Mennonite Church and a rural mission worker. When David was 14, Noah and Minnie moved their family to St. Jacobs, where David lived for the next 55 years. By the late 1940s, David Hunsberger was already a common sight at Old Order Mennonite events. Meeting house gatherings, community events, quilting bees, auctions, family reunions, and of course, barn raisings. Taking photographs of adults was not generally accepted by the Old Order community, as it was counter to their ideals regarding vanity and pride. However, he learned that he could photograph children, as they were not fully formed and the images were therefore somewhat temporary. Dave's photos of Mennonite adults are often taken from a back or side view, respecting these beliefs. The distinctions between the Old Order and modern Mennonites were quite evident by the time Dave took an interest in photographing the Old Order. It certainly helped that he was the son of a preacher, even if it was from a different sect. The kinship that Dave felt with the Old Order brought him into dialogue with many people in that community. He would often engage in the Mennonite game of making family connections based on geography, spouses, and children when visiting. However, Mennonite tourism was not yet popular, and cameras were not often imposed on the Waterloo County Mennonites at that time. A remarkably social man, with a quiet, kind demeanor, Dave was able to mingle and be a part of events where another photographer would have stood out. Dave chose to work as unobtrusively as possible, using a twin-lens Rolleiflex, a camera held waist level rather than eye level, and having an almost silent shutter. He was a remarkably patient artist, waiting and chatting until his subjects virtually forgot why he was there, and capturing candid moments as they arose. Dave often shot wide using the darkroom to isolate and emphasize the key elements of his subject matter through techniques such as cropping, dodging, and burning. Music and photography were everything to Dave. He was a talented pianist and amassed an impressive collection of jazz records over his lifetime. While supportive of his artistic endeavors, his parents discouraged Dave from pursuing photography as a career. They felt he'd be unable to support a family, and in fact, Dave couldn't even afford his own camera for many years. Dave followed his parents' advice and studied bookkeeping by correspondence, while continuing to search for his artistic voice. A number-crunching job at B.F. Goodrich provided the stability and income to marry Catherine Knapfziger in 1956 and start a family. Early success with his freelance photography gave Dave encouragement. His photographs appeared in a wide variety of publications, including Maclean's, the Toronto Star, Kitchener-Waterloo Record, Weekend Magazine, and others. In 1961, Dave and Kate moved their growing family into the home where they would live for the next 40 years, and Dave finally had a studio where he established a commercial photography practice. Weddings, portraiture, industrial contracts, and catalog work paid the bills. For many years, Dave was the principal photographer for the seasonal home hardware catalogs, a staple of every Canadian home. All the while, Dave continued to follow his passion, photographing nature, landscapes, and Mennonite culture. In 1978, Sandhills Books published People Apart, Portrait of a Mennonite World in Waterloo County, Ontario, featuring Dave's photographs. The trust and respect with which Dave treated the Old Order community was returned in kind. Dave's studio in St. Jacobs became a sort of hub where many of his subjects came to visit and remember the faces and events he had recorded. The Laughing Horse Gallery, managed by Kate and their son Robert, became the outlet for Dave's creative work. For the Old Order Mennonite community of Waterloo County, progress has been largely avoided over the past 100 years. David L Hunsberger's photographs preserve an intimate encounter with a community and a deeply rooted system of religious beliefs in practice.